evening is a very practical message that relates to the world today in which we live, and it's why do people believe crazy, false ideas? Why do people believe crazy, wrong, false, dangerous ideas? Have you ever noticed any false ideas in the world today? Yes? There's so many, and there's more false ideas today than what there ever were, I think, for a long while in my memory. And the Bible reading has been Romans 1:18-32 and 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 1 to 17. And the memory verse is 2 Thessalonians 2:11. Put up on the screen. And we read in this passage here about people living in the last days. It says, you can read that verse there, but it speaks about people who receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Verse 11, for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. For this cause shall God send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. And it speaks about the condition in verse 10 is people who receive not the love of the truth, but they have pleasure in unrighteousness. And as a result of not receiving the love of the truth and loving unrighteousness, God sends them strong delusion, or God permits them to be deluded. The devil is always ready to deceive people. And that's why we must stay true to the Word of God, because the Word of God determines what is right and what is wrong, what is beneficial and what is harmful. And we need to know this, because the world is full of crazy ideas, dangerous, harmful ideas that are embraced by people who don't know God, who don't know the Bible, and think they're doing a wonderful thing in giving so-called freedom to homosexuals or whoever, and there are terribly dangerous consequences which they've never imagined. And so God, when people receive not the love of the truth, when they have pleasure in unrighteousness, the consequence is God sends them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. And there's so many lies in the world today. And the aim this morning is for us to see that when people reject God and the Bible, they soon believe crazy, mad, dangerous, harmful ideas. Okay? And as an introduction, one very strange thing that is happening lately is people believing so many crazy, mad ideas. And can you tell me what some of the mad ideas in the world are today? Can you, without looking at the sheet, what do you think? Any ideas? Yes? Calvinism. That's a terribly wrong, crazy idea that God chooses one to heaven and one to hell, and everything's predestined. That's rubbish. That's false. That's dead wrong. 100% wrong. Man has free will. Another false idea? Mormonism. Another one is people who think they can speak in tongues and miracles and raise people from the dead and heal all the sick. If they can heal all the sick, go to Westmead Hospital and save us millions of dollars. Okay? Yeah, atheism, another crazy idea. No. Any other New Age, any other crazy ideas? Jehovah's Witness, not denying the Trinity, deity of Christ, okay?
Rejections.
Yes, all that. But here's a few on this. The first one I've got is evolution. Evolution is an insane, evil, nutcase lie. Because if those scientists who believe evolution, or people who believe evolution, just go into an organic chemistry lab and try and synthesize a cell, a single cell, or even some molecules that are found in cells. The tree, plant, or animal, or human, they can't do it. And if intelligent scientists cannot synthesize or make a molecule that's found in a tree or a plant, how can it possibly happen by accident? It's never going to happen by accident. And I say to evolution people, do you have a computer? Yes, yes. If you don't put an operating system in your computer, don't put software and no electricity, how long will it take for the computer to work? It will never, never work. Okay? And yet why do they think life forms by accident? It's a mad, evil, crazy idea. And Jesus says from the beginning God created them male and female. Okay, so Jesus knew and taught creation, and we believe it as well in the Bible. There's a second crazy idea, and that is man-made climate change. The crazy thing is they used to call it global warming. They say, oh, the temperature of the world's going up, up, up. We'll all be cooked in 20 years. However, the temperature's been going down in the last 20 years. And they think, oh, why is that the case? Because your theory's garbage, you see? And it's a crazy, crazy idea that people have. And the third one is gender confusion. A few years ago they had 57 varieties of gender. Now they've jacked it up to 107 varieties of gender. So how on earth can they be so insane? That just does not make any sense whatsoever. It's because they've been sent strong delusion. They love not the truth. They had pleasure in unrighteousness, so God gave them up, and they've got strong delusion. They're deceived. And people believing same and having gender, they change their gender by an operation in a hospital. That's madness, okay? And then another one, same-sex marriage. They want the mad Parliament of Australia voted for same-sex marriage about a year ago, and it was, how can people be so deceived to endorse such an evil practice? Woe to those who decree unrighteous decrees, the Bible says. And there's a curse. The word woe means curse on those who decree unrighteous decrees. And that's what that is. And then another one is the European Union Court forbids criticising Islam now. Have you heard that? You can't criticise Islam in the European Union. There was some lady who criticised Islam in a speech. Muslims went and dobbed her in, reported her, and as a result, they passed the European Union Court passed a law against criticising Islam. What happened to freedom of speech? Just chucked it out the window. Madness. And then another one is many Muslims wanting to kill Asia Bibi in Pakistan for what Muhammad did for her, for asking the question, what did Muhammad do for me? This lady, about 8 years ago, she was accused of blaspheming Muhammad because she asked the question, what did Muhammad do for me? And they couldn't answer, so they wanted to kill her. And she's been released, maybe has she been released from jail? Has she been released? I don't know, isn't it? Where is she? I don't know. And all the mad, insane Muslims kill Asia Bibi, hang her. And that's total evil deception. The devil's a murderer and a liar, and they've embraced one of the devil's lies and the devil's intent to kill an innocent lady. And then another crazy idea is Muslims thinking Jews are apes and pigs. That's what the Quran says, you know. Well, let's just do a simple DNA test to see how many chromosomes a Jew has. If they've got 46 chromosomes, that means they're not an ape and not a pig. They're human, Homo sapiens. Okay? But the Quran is mad in its thinking. And then Hamas shooting 500 rockets into Israel for no reason. That's madness. How would you like to be living in southern Israel and have people shooting rockets at you so you can't walk out of your house for fear of a rocket coming? Why does it happen? Because of crazy ideas. The Quran is in their head and they think that they've got to kill Jews. Because the Quran has anti-Jewish statements in it and anti-Christian statements, you see? And they think they're pleasing their God, Allah, who is Satan, disguising himself as God. And then we read also Muslims wanting to kill strangers as their ticket to heaven. We saw about a week ago this crazy guy in Melbourne stabbed a restaurant owner and tried to kill 2 others just because he was obeying the Quran command to kill with a knife and cut their heads off, cut their throats. And so this is why would people believe such an insane thing? And even more strange is Australian politicians and Australian leaders saying, what is the reason? And they say, oh, the police are investigating why this man, what motive he possibly could have had to kill these people. Give me a break, dopey. Use your brain, just read the dopey Quran and you'll see about 160 Quran commands to kill infidels and anyone who's not a Muslim as a ticket into paradise. If you kill them, you go to paradise. If you don't kill them, you go to hell. So says the devil's Quran. And these politicians scratch it. Oh, I wonder why. What's the motive? I wonder why. Just get a brain, read your Bible, read the Quran, and you'll work it out in 1 hour. Okay. And then we see Big Bang Theory. People say, oh, the universe was created not by God but by a Big Bang. Okay, well, what lit the fuse? What caused the bang? Don't know. Okay, so now that leads us to ask the question: why are there so many crazy, mad, insane ideas in this world? If you've grown up in a Muslim country, I've been told that men can get put in jail if they have a short sleeve shirt. Now, I've been told that by some people. I don't know if it's true. Women can get put in jail if they have too much hair sticking out under their hijab, or if they don't wear a hijab, they can be put in jail. Is that right? Yeah. And then that's right. True. That's what goes on in this nutcase government of Iran, and so many insane, mad stories I hear from people from Middle Eastern countries. That's just frightening to think that such lunatic ideas could get control over the people of Iran. And it was a big mistake to vote for that, to allow that Ayatollah Khomeini to come in as a leader back in 1979, and they're still suffering the consequences of that bad decision. So that was an example of deception. He said, if you be your leader, I'll give you free, everything free, but he gave him nothing free, except trouble for free. Now, so why do people believe crazy ideas? Has anyone ever wondered that? Why do people believe crazy, mad ideas? And the first reason we have this morning is found in 2 Thessalonians 2:11. It's on the screen here. And it says here that the human brain starts off as a blank slate. Okay? And whatever gets written on the brain, the religion the person embraces, the book that they hold to be true, becomes their assumptions for everything else they do. If a person believes the Bible, they look to Jesus' commands and they do what Jesus says, and they have peace and freedom and prosperity and security. If they believe the Quran, that gets written on their brain and that dictates all their actions, you see? And so people, when they reject God of the Bible and the Bible, they get strong delusion and they believe lies. Other ideas get put on their brain. Now, have a look, would you please, in Romans chapter 1, verse 24. Romans 1, we're going to read, I might start off with, what verse is that? We'll start off with verse 18, okay? Romans 1, 18. I'm going to in this passage here, we see three times God gives people up. See that? We're going to look at this. God gives people up to certain things who reject the truth. Starting off at verse 18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. These people know what's right, they know God's law, but they want to do wicked. Verse 19, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has showed it unto them. So everyone knows there's a God that we are accountable for. And 2. Verse 20, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are fully seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so they are without excuse. So it's saying here, people can learn about God from creation, that there's a designer. And then verse 21, because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful. That's an important phrase. They were not thankful, they were not content, they were not grateful for what God has given them and what God has done for them. But became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like the corruptible man, birds, four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Here's verse 24. Wherefore God also did what? Gave them up. God gave them up. Is that okay? God gave them up to what? To uncleanness. through the lusts of their own hearts to dishonour their own bodies between themselves. So the first thing is God gave them up to uncleanness through lusts of their own hearts to dishonour their own bodies between themselves. That's talking about sexual immorality, don't you reckon? People doing all the crazy sexual things, okay, that they're doing. It's called uncleanness. So God gives them up. So when they don't, we're not thankful for God in verse 21 for what God has done, and their foolish hearts, they get vain in their imaginations, crazy ideas. Their foolish heart was darkened. They think they've professed themselves to be wise, think they're smart, but they're fools, and they change the glory of God to other things. So God gives them up. Okay, God says, you have it your way, mate. You go your own way. I need to be able to read this. And God gives them up to uncleanness and immorality. And then verse 25, we change the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator who is blessed forever. Amen. Now the second thing that God gives, them up to is found in verse 26. For this cause God gave them up to what to what? Vile affections. What's vile affections talking about?
It's all right.
How can you read?
Okay. Vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. That's talking about lesbianism, isn't it? Okay. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly and receiving in themselves that recompense of the error which is meet. What's that talking about? Homosexuality between men and men. Okay? So God gives them up to vile affections, homosexuality. And we've seen a lot of that in the world today, aren't we? There's a lot of homos in the world today, particularly in the eastern suburbs and other places. And verse 28 is a very interesting verse. Even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, verse 28. They did not like to retain God in their knowledge. They did not like the idea of God. Okay? Are there any people that don't like the idea of God? Yeah. Crazy, crazy people. I don't like the idea of God. Maybe it's because they've been brought up in the Catholic Church, which tells them crazy things about God and doesn't provide salvation. So they get confused about God, so they reject that concept of God. And so what does God do? God gives them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. So God gives them up to a reprobate mind after that. So God gives them up first to uncleanness, then to vile affections, and then to a reprobate mind. So what is a reprobate mind? The Greek word is adokimos, and it means a disapproved mind, a rejected mind, a castaway mind, a mind that is void of judgment, a mind that is not distinguishing right from wrong, a mind that's not discerning truth from error. You get it? A lot of people today don't know right from wrong. They think it's wonderful to be gay or sodomite, and they think it's terrible to be a Christian. They can't tell right from wrong. Woe to those who cause evil good and good evil. And so that's called a reprobate mind. And this is a terrible condition to get, where you don't know right from wrong. You don't know right from wrong. And there's a lot of people like that in the world today. Why? Because they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, you see? And so the second reason that people believe strange ideas, first one is because they reject God and the Bible, and that God sent them a strong delusion in this sequence of uncleanness, giving up to uncleanness, vile affections, reprobate mind. But the second reason is when people reject God and the Bible and a good church, and they quit church, they mix with ungodly people with ungodly ideas. Psalm chapter 1 verse 1. And it says, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful." Meaning he doesn't mix with ungodly sinners and scorners, okay? Because you see, when people come to church and they leave church, they still need friends, don't they? So where do they go to get friends? The pub, the nightclub, wherever, other footy team or whatever. And the people there are mostly ungodly people, mostly don't know anything about God, mostly are not saved, mostly are full of crazy ideas and wrong thinking and wrong belief systems. And these people will fill the ex-church member's brain with a ton of garbage. Okay? And I promise you, anyone who leaves a good church, they will pick up some terrible ideas in a short time period. And they will start to believe crazy ideas. And they will get into big trouble as time goes on. And so when people reject God and the Bible and the good church, they mix with ungodly people with evil ideas. And there's a third reason why people believe wrong ideas, and that is then Satan has more opportunities to deceive them and control them with evil ideas. In Acts 26:18, on the screen we read where Jesus appeared to Paul and told him to turn people from darkness, to open their eyes and to turn them from darkness to light, from the power of, from what? The power of who? Satan to God. Unsaved people are to some extent under the power or control of Satan. And they need to be turned from the power of Satan controlling under his power, to God's power and control. They must receive forgiveness of sins, because sin is a big issue that's ignored by the politicians of today and the population, and inheritance among them which is sanctified by faith that is in me. And it's the Christian worldview that's brought us our peace, freedom, prosperity and security. The Christian worldview that gives us our love our neighbour as ourselves. That verse is not in the Quran, it's not in the Hindu writings. Love your enemies is not in those other books, it's in the Bible and Jesus' teachings. Okay? And so Satan is out to deceive people and control them with evil ideas. Okay? So, and we see a case in the Old Testament where King Ahab, there was a discussion in heaven where God asked a question to the angels about who shall entice Ahab to battle, that he might be killed for his wicked evil deeds. And an evil spirit came forward and said, I will deceive him. How come? Because I'll speak through the false prophets. I'll speak through the false prophets to him, to tempt him to go to war and get involved with the Syrians. Okay? And he went to war with the Syrians and he got killed in the battle. Okay? So we want to ask the question this morning, what things deceive people? We live in a world that's full of deception. What is there that deceives people? Well, looking at the Bible, we see in Job 31 verse 9, if mine heart have been deceived by a woman at my neighbour's door. Okay, so it's possible, the first thing that can deceive men is women. I'm not against ladies, don't get me wrong, but you've got to be, both men and ladies have to be very, very careful who you marry. Because if you marry a crazy person or an ungodly person, their problems become your problems. Okay? And if you're married, you shouldn't get deceived by running off with somebody else. That's going to create problems as well. And so, be very, very careful about being deceived by thoughts. And don't let your romantic thoughts take over and mess up your life. Okay? And also, don't be too fussy. Find the right person to marry and marry them and raise godly children and live for God. The second thing that deceives people is alcohol. In Proverbs 20 verse number 1, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. Now, the alcohol shop is big deception. Why? Because why do people drink alcohol? Who knows why? Is there a reason? What is the reason? I've never drunk alcohol. I guess when I was in the Anglican church, I got a bit of alcohol on a Sunday in the Lord's Supper. Okay, but that was years ago when I was a teenager. Okay? But why do people drink alcohol? It's most likely because to drown their sorrows. To drown their sorrows. They get problems, they get depressed, so they drink alcohol, they get drunk, they smash their car, they get into a fight with somebody, and as a result they make more problems, and they got hangovers as well, and they're more depressed. Okay? So alcohol is a big, big deception. You don't even, the Bible says, don't even look at the alcohol. Don't even look at the alcohol, okay? Because if you look at the alcohol, the next step is to drink it, and then you have problems. All the time, I get phone calls from people saying, "Oh, Pastor, can you help me? I've drunk alcohol, and I've got into trouble with somebody, okay, and did something silly." Okay? You don't even look at the alcohol. Okay? I don't touch it, I don't drink it, and I don't want to waste my money on alcohol. Okay? The third thing that deceives people is pride. It says in Obadiah chapter 3, Obadiah chapter 3, "The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee." In Obadiah chapter 3, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. So when people get proud, they get deceived into doing things that they should not do. Like some people say, "Oh, I'm a P driver." A new person gets a driver's license, he's on his red Ps, he says, "Man, I'm a very good driver. I'm a super driver. I know how to drive this car. I'm going to get a V8. I'm going to get a super turbocharged V8. And he gets his car and he says, "Oh man, I can drive this thing really fast." And he drives the thing fast, and then something happens and he hits the telegraph pole and kills himself. Okay? This happens all the time. People who think they're good car drivers, but they're not quite as good as they thought they were. Their pride has deceived them into thinking that they're a good car driver, and they don't have much experience, and they smash their car. Okay? Pride of their heart deceives them. Okay? And don't let pride deceive you, because it can destroy your life. And the devil was controlled by pride, which led him to rebel against God. There's a fourth thing that deceives people, and that's false religions claiming to represent Christ. In Matthew 24 verse number 4, Matthew 24 verse 4, we read, "Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." It's saying here that before Jesus comes, he said, they asked, "What will be the sign of your coming and at the end of the world?" And he said, "Take heed that no man deceive you." Meaning before Jesus comes, there'll be a lot of deception in the world. A lot of deception. Okay? And we need to think about the deceptions around and not believe the lies that are running around and being embraced by people in the world. And it says, they say, "I am Christ and shall deceive many." Meaning that they say, "I represent Christ." Okay? Now, a lot of people who say they represent Jesus Christ, but they don't, because they departed from the Bible, and they're false teachers, and they believe unbiblical ideas. Okay? And that's why I wrote answer books with many of the chapters on these different false religions. JWs, Seventh-day Adventists, Mormons, Calvinism, all this stuff. They say they are Christ and they deceive many. Okay, the next thing, number 5, that deceives people is sin. And in Romans 7 verse number 11, we read, "Sin, taking occasion by the commandment, deceived me, and by it slew me." Wow, sin. So sin deceives people. It deceived me. Paul says sin deceived me. And I think everybody has been deceived by sin at some time or another. And this is all through life. Next one, number 6. Fornication deceives people. And we read in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 9 and probably verse 10. "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves of mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners, nor shall inherit the kingdom of God. but such were some of you. But ye are washed, ye are cleansed, ye are sanctified through Lord Jesus Christ's blood. Okay, so it's saying here that a lot of people get deceived by fornication and sex, this sort of thing, into wrong relationships. Okay, so just be careful of that. Next one, number 7. The 7th thing that deceives people is found in Romans 16:18. Romans 16:18 is fair speeches. Here we read, by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple. This is very true in the politics world today. Before we have elections, politicians get up and say, oh, I will give you lots of wonderful things. I will give everyone $2,000 to buy a battery, as Bill Shorten was saying. But the technology is not proven. Just like the pink bats was a waste of money, and the NBN was a waste of money. Politicians, fair speeches and good words deceive the hearts of the simple. Beware of politicians promising things that they cannot deliver. Amen? A lot of crazy politicians promise by fair speeches and good words. I told him, he said, in 1979, I'll give you free electricity, free water, free education, free freedom of religion, everything free, free housing. Oh, whoopee, whoopee. The problem was that fair speeches and good words deceived the hearts of the simple. And that poor generation of people lost their freedom due to the belief being deceived by the fair speeches and the good words of the Ayatollah Khomeini. Oh dear, oh dear. Watch out for lying politicians with their fair speeches and good words deceiving the hearts of the simple, promising things that they cannot deliver just to get votes. Okay? Then we have the next thing that deceives people, number 8, evil communications. In 1 Corinthians 15:33, be not deceived, evil communications corrupt good manners. What does it mean by evil communications? It means angry words. Angry, disputing words. Be very careful in how you talk to people, because you can lose friends by having evil communications. They corrupt good manners, they corrupt good relationships. Be careful what you say, because you can cause unnecessary fights with people. You don't want that. Shut your mouth and say things in a sweet, nice way, instead of breaking relationships. Okay, evil communications corrupt good manners. Number 9, the 9th thing that deceives people is evil sowing. In Galatians 6:7, be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This is saying that people think they can do something bad and have no bad result. And this relates to number 10 in Ephesians 5:6. The next thing that deceives people is thinking we can sin and not get punished. Thinking we can sin and not get punished. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience. So, children of disobedience, that actually is the huios of disobedience. People who have the nature of disobeying God, the wrath of God comes on children of disobedience. And these people, they disobey God, and then they think everything will be fine, but something will blow up, and they get punished, and they get a problem. And that's why homosexuals are on the average 20 years shorter than other people, other members of the population. Okay, so evil sowing. Whatever man sows, that shall he also reap. Most people in jail have forgotten this verse. They sinned, they did something wrong, they thought they'd get away with it, but they didn't, and they're in jail. Be sure your sin will find you out. Okay. Now, the 11th thing that deceives people is post-tribulation rapture error. Let's have a look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse number 3 on the screen. And here we read, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day, that's the tribulation, shall not come except there come a what? Falling away first. what's the falling away? Well, in the Greek the word is apostasia, and it means a departure of people from one place to another place. It's used in about, that word's used in about 16 other occasions, and every other occasion it's used is talking about people moving from one place to another place. So it says, be not deceived, but no man deceive you by any means, for that day, it's the day of the Lord, the tribulation, the judgments on the world shall not come except there come a falling away first. The falling away is the departure of the church from earth to heaven.
Why would God have fallen rather than...
Just a translation. It's a translation.
So
Okay?
the translation is correct?
Well, it could be... Okay, you've got to look at the Greek, okay? That's very, very helpful. But keep going. Read the context. Can become a falling away, said to be a falling away first, and second thing is that man's sin be revealed. That's the Antichrist, isn't it? So we get taken out before the Antichrist is revealed. Your porridge, because in the tribulation you won't have porridge. And the little boy goes, oh, I don't want that. So she scared the wits out of the little boy. But the thing is, it says, wherefore comfort one another with these words, that we're going to be taken to heaven and not have to go through, we're not appointed to wrath of the tribulation period. So that is an error that we need to recognise and avoid, and don't be deceived by that. Otherwise you'll be scared witless. And the truth is that rapture comes before the tribulation, not after. Number 12, the 12th thing that deceives people is lusts and pleasures. In Titus 3 verse number 3. Titus 3:3. Think about this. We ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving divers lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy, hateful and hating one another. Do you think a lot of people are deceived, serving diverse lusts and pleasures? They're just living for money, living for themselves, living for this world. They're not living for heaven. They're not living to help other people. They're not living to share the gospel. They're just living for themselves, to serve their lusts and their pleasures. Okay? They want to have just the best of everything in this world without thinking of the work of God. Don't serve lusts and pleasures. Don't be deceived by lusts and pleasures. Okay? Next thing. Number 13, that deceive people, 2 Timothy 3:13. 2 Timothy 3:13 says, evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. So what is there that deceives people here? Evil men shall wax, and seducers shall wax worse and worse. So this is saying there will be a great increase in evil men seducing and deceiving, okay? And this is happening in the world today through politicians and the new Marxist ideas and all this mad deceptions going on in the world today. The 14th thing that deceives people is found in 1 John chapter 1 verse 8. And it says, if we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. So what deceives people here? Self-justification. 1 John chapter 1 verse 8. And people here say, I have no sin, I'm a good guy. And they point the finger at oh, that guy's bad, that person's bad, but me, I don't do anything. I'm a pretty good guy, I don't do anything wrong. Well, everyone has done sinful things. Everyone has done wrong things. And Jesus said, he that is without sin, let him cast the first stone. And people are good at seeing the fault in other people's lives, but not seeing the faults in their own lives. And so many people justify themselves, saying, I'm good and everyone else is bad. Get the idea? That's self-justification, okay? And that's wrong. Don't let that deceive you. Number 15, look at Revelation 18 verse 23. Chapter 17 and 18 are talking about the Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church that deceives people. It says here, by vice, and the light of the candle shall shine no more in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee, for thy merchants were the great men of the earth, and by thy what? By thy what? Sorceries were who? How many people?
All nations.
All nations. deceive. The Catholic Church is Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots, and it's the woman which is thou sawest is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. The last verse of chapter 17, verse 15, verse 18, I think it is. And the Rome is that great city that reigns over the kings of the earth. That's the Roman Catholic Church with its false ideas. Sorceries means deceptive devices. The Catholic Church has got so many false ideas, okay, throughout history.
Great people.
Yeah, very evil false ideas. And then we have another, the final thing that deceives people is the devil. Have a look at Revelation chapter 20, verse number 10. And here we, Revelation 20, verse 10. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. The devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire, and he's deceived the nations no more. Okay? He deceived the nations, and that's what the devil does. He operates through false religions. He operates through all of these devices to deceive people into believing error and having a terrible outcome. And the conclusion this morning is this: be not deceived. Study the Bible. Prove all things. Hold fast that which is good. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. It's a good verse. Prove all things. Hold fast that which is good. I love that verse. Prove all things. If with Islam, you say, prove the Quran is from God. Well, you can't, because it has no prophecy. The Bible has prophecy as to prove that it's from God. And we prove what is right, all things. We hold fast to that which is good, the Word of God, and we'll have a happy, blessed, peaceful, secure life. Amen? Let us rescue other people from the deception of false religions and sin. Share the gospel and lead them to Christ so they can escape the deceptions of the devil and the world and ungodly people. Okay? The world's full of deception. And you can see it, if you're aware of the deception, you can protect yourself against it. Let us not be deceived, shall we? And if you look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, go through the chapter and you will see a lot of qualities of deceived people. That's something we could have a look at another day that you can do in your own time. Okay, so let us stand, shall we?